BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K. BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K. BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K. BSing with Sean.
Alrighty then, so this is the BSing with Sean K podcast. I'm your host Sean Kneese, and this is episode 86. And on this show, I talk with people who live outside the box and are pursuing their creative and intellectual passions. And I also sometimes provide a platform for opinions and perspectives that aren't often heard in the mainstream media. And for this episode, I'm going to play you a conversation I had with actress Lia Fietz. We met at improv. She was born in Germany and raised in Portugal. She speaks English, Portuguese, and German. She is Portuguese and German descent. Miss Fietz is also an animal and human rights activist. She says, and I'm quoting from her website, "While I can't change the world, I can change parts of it." And she's also a martial artist. I forgot to mention that. Anyway, without further delay, here's my conversation with her, and I hope you enjoy it. So, you're an actress and a martial artist.
Yeah.
And an
I can
improviser.
say that.
Yeah,
Right, we met at improv,
yeah.
and I'm still trying to figure out the whole improv world, which is fairly new, and it's been exciting. I think as an artist, as an actor, whatever you can do to explore and to be in the moment, I think it's a nice path to develop, and I've been enjoying it very much. I love the Improv Now group. I actually heard the podcast that you had with Steve.
Yeah.
And it was pretty exciting that he said he developed it because he wanted to make it affordable for everyone.
Yeah, because a lot of the other improv classes are very, expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you create a group with people, and I like that it's not everyone has different jobs, and they do it for different reasons. So it's pretty cool.
It brings different types of people together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Connecting. That's what it's
Yeah.
all about.
Yeah, I've had a lot of guests from the improv this year.
Cool.
Eric, too. I think. Oh, and
Yeah,
Frank.
Eric's
and
great.
Frank, yeah. So, I guess, what do you want to, tell your story, I guess, about being an actress and all that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
Because,
so
you,
what
you,
I
cause, you came from, Germany, right? That was, yeah, you had the whole...
well, yeah. I mean, I'm half German, half Portuguese, and I grew up in both countries. And then I came to the U.S. many years ago, and I lived in Los Angeles like every actor, and then I moved to New York to be actually closer to Europe. But again, as an artist, I think you just need to explore. It's not just one thing that you should obsess about. And I don't know if you get this question, but I do, and I find it kind of odd. What kind of acting do you do? I never know how to respond to that. Because you're an actor, it doesn't really mean what kind of acting. You can perform in drama and comedy, and so it depends on the project. But if I would choose the projects I would like to work in, I actually prefer the political subjects and social issues. So you use this platform.
So satire, kind of?
I would say, well, satire, I see it, that can be a way to do storytelling, but I would say more drama. So it's funny that I'm in improv where I don't know. It's different than stand-up comedy, obviously, but it's still in the comedy section, I would say. Or it can be funny because you're doing drama. I don't know. But if I had to choose, I would prefer the dramatic side. So again, it's all about exploring new fields. And I did explore in Los Angeles the stand-up comedy once because I don't think comedy is my thing. So it's interesting to be in this group right now.
You tried it out?
Yeah.
Or, but it didn't go as well as you wanted it to go, like when you performed it, is what you're saying?
I actually didn't care, and I don't think it went badly. I mean, I got laughs, but the whole point was to just explore a different part of acting. So.
Oh, so it was more like you were trying it for fun, kind of the comedy. You mean?
Yeah. And it was my roommate at the time in Los Angeles that actually has nothing to do with acting. She's in a different field, more the business side. And she said, hey, do you want to try out this class? And I'm like, yeah. And the improv, I don't know how you got in, but it was through the meetup. So it's pretty cool to try it out. And I guess also the martial arts. It's interesting when you hear these stereotypes, and I get a lot of the question, oh, do you do yoga? And I don't. And nothing against yoga, but I like martial arts, and I guess people don't see it in me, I guess. Yeah. So, anyway.
Wait, so wait, what kind of martial arts is it? Like, and how does it differ from, like, other martial arts? Because I know there's all different kinds.
There are different styles. So the one I do is Kempo, and it's Chinese Hawaiian Kempo. It started out as a self-defense class over a year, and then I thought, all right, let me actually progress and do the whole belt system. So, yeah. It's been an exciting journey, but also very time-consuming. It's the whole philosophy and discipline. So, yeah, you can't just go once a week, kind of a thing.
It's something you've been training at like your whole life, martial arts?
No, I believe it's been 4 years now. So, actually recent. It's not that I started as a kid. And funny enough, we do have a colleague, Eric, that you saw, that also does martial arts. But he's a black belt.
Oh, he's a black belt?
Yeah. So, again, I think it's interesting to try these new or different fields. It doesn't have to be specifically one. And that's how you get inspired. And I'm very excited about the improv. Yeah. And I've learned a lot from you. I think you're a great improviser. Seems that you have experience. What I think is challenging about improv is when you go to an audition, acting in general, you have a script, so you create this backstory, this character based on the script. And there are even a lot of casting directors that say, don't change the script because the writer wrote specifically those words. And with improv, you have no idea what is going to happen. It's a reality. I know it's listen and react, but to what? It's a complete made-up reality. So
it's like getting into that character.
Yeah, it actually helps you to not overthink and just create from scratch, but go with it. So it's been really cool.
And you've also been getting into voiceover, right? Like, because you speak 3 languages?
Yeah, I speak
Portuguese, German, and
English.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been doing voiceovers for many years now. I remember when I was in Los Angeles, they were really trying, because it's hard to find someone from Portugal actually. I think they're more Brazilian speakers. But they even had an ad on Craigslist. This was many years ago. Looking for someone that speaks Portuguese from Portugal, and I had never done voiceovers, but that was my first job. And then it just became like a regular, not regular, but I've had many jobs as a voiceover artist. And yeah, and then German as well. So it's a nice other source of income, and I like that. I think it's art as well. I've done audiobooks, commercials, industrial. Trying to think if anything else.
So it's like you get one job and then they pick you for more. Like, so you just submitted. How did you get like your first gig with that?
Well, as I mentioned, it was for an airline at the time, and so they were looking for someone that spoke Portuguese from Portugal. So I believe if you fly to Portugal, you hear that voice. And then it just started from there, that I got these jobs. And then I also did German for the Skechers shoes.
So it's like they pick you for one thing and then they call you for other.
And like, sometimes I do audition. So it's a cool world as well to be part of. So, as I mentioned earlier, I don't think it's just one specific thing that you should. That's why I never understood that question. What kind of acting that you do?
Like if you want to do theater or like film and stuff.
I don't even know if it's that what people are trying to ask. If it is, then I could say, as I've been talking, it depends. I mean, I can enjoy as much theater, as voiceover work, as film. If I were to choose, I love film, and again, I would choose the political films. My favorite film is Battle of Algiers. So, yeah, that kind of subject.
So what's been, like, your favorite roles to play, I guess?
I don't know. I've enjoyed most of it, even voiceovers. I guess the last project that I really liked, that I actually also produced, which is a whole new world for me, was a short film called Ice, and it's about two women joining the Women's March.
Oh, you wrote because you said you wanted to do more political.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we wrote it. It's almost all female crew, and of course we try to be inclusive. No, but it's a nice short, and I think it's important because to demystify that women are competitive between each other, they're jealous. So it came from the idea of sisterhood. So it's two strangers, two neighbors. One is a foreigner, one is African American, and the difficulty of joining the march. I have a lot of respect for people that dedicate their time and go to protests and speak up, So I wanted to do a short film about that, but maybe because it's the most recent project also, and that I'm very fond about because we're submitting to festivals and whatnot, so maybe that's why it's resonating so much as of now.
So was it hard, like, finding the right people to, like, make a project with?
It was not, and what I like, though, is that you start having this team, because when you do projects, again, it's the first time I produced anything, but you develop this team, and then you want to always work with the same team, like improv, right? And you create this group.
So it's people you've worked with before, so you're kind of moving in from one thing to
Actually, no. Some yes and some not. I mean, I knew, except the other actress, and I really wanna. If she listens to this podcast, her name's Kezia, and she's a very talented actress. And she has a kid, a baby. It was a baby at the time. We did it last year, and she lives in New Jersey, and she came to film at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. I don't know. It was really early. 9 a.m. doesn't sound so early, but yeah, and we just cast her from one day to the other. So I always want to work with Kezia, but then the rest of the crew was awesome too. I did know the director and the DP. And then the editor I met, and I always want to work with her. And we had 2 editors, and then a sound composer. It was also very cool. So it was very interesting. So I hope it gets out there.
So how did you first get into acting?
Yeah, that's a good question. I always wanted to be an actress since I was a kid. I remember when in school, and this was in Portugal, by the way, the teacher asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I guess most of the answers were that common of, "I want to be a doctor, I want to be this, that." And I said, "Oh, I want to be a rock star." And I remember everyone was laughing, "But why?" I'm like, "I want to be on stage." And so I knew as a kid. And then I grew up in a very small town, so I created my own scenes in the terrace and performed for no one because it was very isolated. But yeah, I knew that. And then I guess because I was in Germany and in Portugal, I felt, well, let me explore, and I wanted to come to the US, and then I've been here for a while now, so yeah.
Right, so what was some of your first roles you did? Were there any that I guess stood out to you?
I believe it was the Vagina Monologues. This is in Los Angeles. I really loved the play, and again, it's that political side and bringing awareness. So I think that was incredible to perform that. I really enjoyed it, and but yeah, I think even every project, even performing stand-up, because it's not, I don't see myself as a stand-up comedian. Even doing voiceovers has been interesting. I think any project that I've been part of. Yeah. I really don't know. But Los Angeles was great. I do miss the city. And I'm also looking forward to try the Berlin market. I have an agent in Berlin, so I'm going in a few weeks.
Yeah, so how does New York compare to those other places?
So I was reading in the backstage, and I think right now we live in a great time of diversity. And I remember this before, that it was, oh, well, you're not really Portuguese, or you're not really German, or you're not really American, and now we're changing that. So I think there's more opportunities, and it's okay if you have a slight accent or not. And I think Netflix has been useful for that change, and they're doing a lot of shows in Europe. It's not just the same market that you see changes. So I think before it maybe was very German and German actors, and now you actually see a lot of productions from the US going to Berlin. So things are changing, and I like that global feel.
So it's more like connected.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something else? Or?
Well, I was just thinking, I mean, it's if there's any major changes that I feel. I don't know, I think because I have worked also in Germany, I think there might be some differences between the European feel and the American feel, and both are great, so I like to take whatever I can from both places, both continents, but I could feel in the United States of America that it's very structured. You have those specific days. I'm part of the union, and it's great. But then you also need to not just think about the blocking. You know, you also want to develop the character and give time to that. But sometimes in certain movies in Europe, you feel, okay, something needs to happen because we've been spending the past 30 minutes just looking someone drinking a glass of water. So there needs to be some kind of movement. But both have advantages and disadvantages.
So I guess American films have more like action or like
right.
more faster. Yeah. But maybe like I guess
and
maybe
rehearsals.
Like European films. Yeah. European films are more like character focused, maybe? Like more.
Yeah, maybe. And it also depends because it's all about storytelling. So the stories will obviously be different.
Yeah.
Right? But you can incorporate.
I noticed with like Japanese films, there's like time is like a little, like, I don't know, it switches a lot back between like past and just like with certain Japanese films I see. Like
oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah, it switches between like the past and the future and present a lot, and then I don't know, it has a lot of like maybe like allegorical kind of stuff. I guess I'm thinking like Kurosawa or like some of the other Japanese films I've seen. I don't know, it seems like the style changes like different.
The style does change, and then you have the Russian, right, where it's like this whole movement, and then you have the actors. It's just different, but you can incorporate, and especially nowadays, it's all this connection. It's easier to connect, so I like to be part of that, and that's why I think it's important to explore different markets, if you can, of course. So yeah, and whatever works for you to always stay inspired, and I think New York is a very inspiring place with all these ethnicities, so it does help.
And so, like, how do you feel you've improved, I guess, as an actress? So, like, what have you learned?
Yeah, I think trying out new things and not just, okay, I want to work in film, so I'm going to obsess on getting the most auditions of film. And I think that comes with trying new things, like the martial arts, the stand-up comedy, traveling, and making time to socialize. Sometimes we forget, and it's hard in New York because it's so expensive to live here, so we don't really have time. Everything's so fast-paced, but you have to make time to see your friends and grab a cup of coffee. I think it's important. Because you're not going to remember, I don't know, whenever I go to Europe and then come back, I'm not going to remember the hours I spent practicing something like piano or whatever. You think, oh, I went out with my friends and we had a great time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's important. And family, of course, is important too.
Yeah, and is there anything like any way you're gonna pursue martial arts more? Or is that more just like a hobby at this point?
Right, it's definitely on the side, but as I mentioned, it is a dedication hobby, so you can't just go for once a week. And I'm definitely, when I'm in Berlin, gonna try different martial arts, or maybe the same. I don't know if they have. And so it is a hobby, but an extensive hobby.
Yeah. Is there like a? I guess is there like a art? Is there a way? I mean, I know it's a very different thing, but is there any way it's like similar to like? It's like acting in a way, like learning. I don't know. Is there? How does it? Is there any like skills from that like you incorporate?
I believe so, because there's a lot of choreographies that you have, and it trains your body. It's all about coordination. You memorize. You have to memorize. You learn new things. So it's good for your brain to keep mastering that. I think it's all connected. I mean, if you think of Steve Jobs, he didn't study computer, he studied calligraphy.
Yeah.
And people ask that very often, oh, what has that got to do with Mac? And I think it has everything to do with Mac. That's why it's so different, the Mac than the PC, you know what I mean? So you utilize that. It's all about these experiences. And I actually studied law in Portugal. I sometimes forget that. It's been such a long time. But, and maybe that's the connection of enjoying social movies and political movies. I don't know. So, yeah, I believe you can take everything from that. You don't have to just put yourself in this particular box.
I guess, like, where's your goal where you one day want to be, like, with everything?
I just want to always be working on projects, always be inspired, always be able to tell stories, and as an actress, preferably. And nowadays it helps that a lot of actors become producers and writers, etc., so that they can tell their particular stories. So I just want to keep doing that, and whatever it takes to keep inspired, you know. That's my goal. And it doesn't have to be necessarily in New York or Los Angeles or Berlin. Maybe you can go to a small town and develop a production company.
Oh, like Lia Fietz. Fietz?
Yeah.
Production company. Yeah.
I actually have a name for one that I've been trying to develop, Humanitas Films, which is humanity in Latin. I think that would be a better name than just my name. Because as I mentioned earlier, I like to collaborate, and I think if you want to do film, or if you want to be an artist, you shouldn't try to do it by yourself. You always need a team.
Yeah. It's a collaboration, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't believe in that competition. I never understood that. I think we're all different. And I'm so happy if one of my friends books a job. So you also have to help each other and grow and learn from each other, right?
Yeah, I feel like stand-up can... I mean, I haven't done too much stand-up, but I feel like that can get like a little more competitive than like other scenes. I mean, because it's just like one person performing their set. Like it's like one, I don't know. That's just what I always thought.
Well,
yeah.
It's interesting though, when I performed, I remember speaking with someone that was a stand-up comedian that was doing it for a really long time, And she asked me if I was nervous, and I said not really, because I really don't care. You know when it's like it's not your goal, so then you probably don't care as much. She said, "Oh my God, I'm so nervous. I've been doing this for years, but I still get nervous." And I thought it was a pretty cool interaction. And she was such a brilliant stand-up comedian. I wish I had a name to tell you, but it's been many years ago. But I don't know. I think you can still feed from each other. And for improv to work, you need to really listen and react to whatever the person's saying. I mean, we've had these talks before. If someone is just going to cut you off and say no, then it's not really improv, right?
And it kind of just, it ends the whole scene. Like, where do you go from there? If you just say, no, you're not. Like, yeah.
It cuts the scene right away. And so we have to just remember that and try to, not try to overshadow. I don't know. I never really understood that. But I believe it is all about connecting and collaboration and to listen.
So any final thoughts, I guess, or anything else you want to add?
I believe if anyone's listening, just try the improv now at Triple Crown and take a class with Steve. It's been really cool. Try it out. Yeah, I guess I would say that. And just try new things. That's my take for today.
Yeah. Live life.
Live life, exactly.
Yeah, and actually, I think we're on the improv team later tonight.
Oh, really? I'm glad you told me.
Yeah. Are you going to the class? I'm going to go to the show. Are you going to go to the class too,
I'm not sure about the class.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the show. I might skip the
Me
class,
too, yeah, because I went to the Magna, like I told you, and I have actually an audition tomorrow.
Oh, nice, yeah.
So that I wanted to prepare for.
Yeah, I'm supposed to play, I got asked to play a cop on a reenactment, but they haven't given me, like, the day or whatever.
Oh, cool!
Yeah, I think it's like one of those ID Discovery shows. I've played, like, perps before, and I've played, like, detectives. So.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, the other final thing I wanted to say, I've learned a lot from you, and I look forward to work with you again in improv.
Yeah, likewise, and hopefully we're gonna do that show tonight. Is the mashup team? I guess it is. It's one of the teams we set up. Yeah. All right. Well, good to talk to you, and thanks for coming on the podcast and all that.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Take care.
All right,
Bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty, so that's the end of the conversation, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to keep updated with what Lia is doing, go to liafietz.com, liafietz.com. And if you want to keep updated about future episodes of BSing with Sean K, go to bsingwithseank.blogspot.com. There's a link to my feed and everything else, and you can also subscribe to me on Spotify and iTunes. And I also post my episodes on YouTube too. I know that a lot of people, don't usually listen to podcasts on YouTube, but I do make really cool slideshows to go along with my episodes on YouTube. And sometimes I put funny pictures that match with what's being talked about, or interesting pictures. So if you ever want to just sit down and watch one of those podcast slideshows I do, I think you'll enjoy it too. But people usually listen to podcasts on the go and all that. So anyway, I'll catch you on the next one.